You ever reach a point in life where you stop chasing growth and start chasing safety? That's exactly where Dorilla the Gorilla found himself. At 67 years old, Dorilla wasn't trying to get rich anymore. He just wanted one thing: income. Predictable, reliable, safe. Every month like clockwork. Because in his mind, the game had changed. No more risky stocks. No more waiting 10, 20 years. Now it was all about protecting what he built. And that's when he heard the magic word: dividends. It sounded perfect. Stocks that pay you just for holding them? Companies that send you checks every quarter? Dorilla leaned back in his chair and smiled. This is it. I should have done this years ago. But here's the part no one tells you. Not all income is safe, and not all dividends are real. Some of them are traps, and Dorilla was about to walk straight into one. It started casually. Dorilla was at his usual cafe, flipping through his portfolio, when Saru the monkey slid into the seat across from him. Saru always had that energy. Fast talker, big promises, the kind of guy who made everything sound easy.
Dorilla,
Saru said, grinning.
why are you still holding those boring stocks?
Dorilla raised an eyebrow.
They're stable. They paid dividends.
Saru laughed.
Stable? You're getting what, 3%, 4%?
Dorilla nodded slowly. Saru leaned in.
I'm getting 12%, 15%, even 18%.
Dorilla froze.
From where?
Saru pulled out his phone, scrolling quickly.
Look at these. High-yield dividend stocks, monthly payouts. You're basically getting a paycheck.
A paycheck. That word hit Dorilla hard, because deep down, that's what he missed. Not the money, the feeling of income coming in. Saru kept going.
You don't have time to wait anymore, Dorilla. You need income now. This is how smart retirees do it.
And just like that, Dorilla started to doubt everything he thought he knew. A few days later, Dorilla found himself sitting in a quiet office. Across from him was Kitsune the fox. Sharp suit, calm voice, confident smile. The kind of presence that makes you feel like you're finally talking to someone who knows what they're doing.
I understand you're looking for income.
Kitsune said smoothly. Dorilla nodded.
I just want something safe. Something that pays consistently.
Kitsune smiled.
Of course, sir. That's exactly what we specialize in.
He slid a paper across the table. Numbers, yields, percentages, big ones.
12%, 14%, 16% annually.
Kitsune continued.
These are premium income assets designed for retirees.
Dorilla's eyes widened.
That's much higher than what I'm getting.
Kitsune leaned back slightly.
Yes, because most people don't know where to look.
Then he lowered his voice just a little.
But you do now.
That moment felt like opportunity, like Dorilla had been missing out and just got let in on a secret. And here's the dangerous part. It didn't feel like greed. It felt like catching up. So Dorilla made a decision, a big one. He shifted most of his savings into high-yield dividend stocks he barely understood. And for a while, everything looked perfect. Checks were coming in, the numbers looked strong.
Saru was right. Kitsune was right.
Dorilla thought he had finally cracked the code. But what he didn't see was what was happening underneath. At first, it worked. Every month, Dorilla checked his account and saw something he hadn't felt in years. Money coming in, consistently. Not from selling, not from guessing, just showing up. He smiled every time. This is how retirement should feel. The numbers looked beautiful. 12% yield, some even higher. Monthly payouts, smooth, predictable. Dorilla Ewan started spending a little more. Better meals, small trips, a few.
I deserve this moment.
Because in his mind, he wasn't touching his savings. He was living off the income. Saru would message him occasionally,
Told you, didn't I? Easy money.
and Dorilla believed him. But here's what Dorilla didn't realize. That income he was receiving, it wasn't all profit. Some of it was his own money being returned to him, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Because while the dividends looked strong, the actual value of his investments was starting to slip. Just a little at first. Not enough to panic, but enough to matter. It happened gradually. So gradually, Dorilla almost ignored it. One of his stocks dropped 8%,
Normal.
he told himself. Another cut its dividend slightly. Just temporary. Saru shrugged it off.
Market noise. Focus on the income.
So Dorilla did, because the income was still coming in. That's the trick. As long as the cash keeps flowing, you don't question the machine. But then something changed. One morning, Dorilla opened his account and paused. One of his highest-paying stocks cut its dividend in half. Just like that. No warning, no explanation he could understand. The stock price dropped hard, 20%, then 30%. Dorilla stared at the screen.
Wait, how is this possible?
He thought high yield meant strong income. He thought strong income meant stable companies. But what he was actually holding were businesses struggling to survive. And those big dividends, they weren't strength, they were desperation. Now the pattern became clear, and it wasn't a good one. Another stock cut dividends. Another one dropped in price. Another one stopped paying completely. Dorilla's income machine started breaking down. And when he looked at his full portfolio, that's when it hit him. Hard. The income he was so focused on distracted him from the real damage. His portfolio wasn't stable. It was shrinking. Month by month, piece by piece. Dorilla tried to hold on. Maybe it'll recover. Maybe I should wait. But deep down, he knew. This wasn't a temporary dip. This was the cost of chasing yield without understanding risk. And the worst part? When he needed safety the most, he had less of it than ever before. That's when Dorilla did something he hadn't done in a long time. He stopped listening to Saru. He ignored Kitsune. And finally, he went looking for real advice. Because now, this wasn't about making money. This was about not running out of it. Dorilla didn't go back to Saru. He didn't call Kitsune, because deep down, he knew exactly what they would say. Hold. Buy more. Stay confident. But confidence wasn't the problem anymore. Reality was. So Dorilla went somewhere quieter. No flashy office, no promises. Just a small bench near a pond where Kame the turtle sat, feeding the fish. Kame didn't look up right away.
Lost something?
He asked calmly. Dorilla exhaled.
Yeah, my safe income.
Kame nodded slightly, like he'd heard this story before.
Let me guess.
Kame said.
High dividends, falling prices.
Dorilla froze.
How did you know?
Kame finally looked at him.
Because income isn't safety, Dorilla. Quality is.
That word hung in the air. Quality. Not yield, not speed, not hype. Kame continued.
If someone offers you 15% income, you should be asking one question. Why do they have to pay that much?
Dorilla said nothing, because for the first time, he didn't have an answer. Kame picked up a small stone and tossed it gently into the water.
Let me show you something simple.
He said.
Imagine two companies. One pays you 4%, grows slowly, and keeps raising its dividend every year. The other pays you 15%, but its business is shrinking.
Dorilla nodded slowly. Kamei continued.
The first one feels boring. The second one feels exciting.
He looked directly at Dorilla.
But in 5 years, the boring one likely pays you more and is worth more.
Dorilla leaned forward.
So I chose the wrong ones.
Kamei shook his head.
You chose what felt right, not what was right.
Then he broke it down simply. High yield often means high risk. If a dividend looks too good, it usually is. Income means nothing if your principal is dying. And at your stage in life, losing capital hurts more than missing gains. Dorilla swallowed, because every word hit hard. Dorilla didn't ask for shortcuts this time. He just asked one thing.
What do I do now?
Kamei smiled slightly.
Now, you rebuild the right way.
Not fast, not flashy, just solid. They started simple. Dorilla shifted what he had left into strong, established companies, lower yields but consistent history, businesses he could actually understand. No more chasing 15%. Now it was 3%, maybe 4%. At first it felt disappointing, but something strange happened. Dorilla started sleeping better. No more checking his account every hour, no more panic when prices moved, and slowly, very slowly, his portfolio stopped bleeding. Then it stabilized. Then it started growing again. Not explosive, but real. And for the first time in a long time, Dorilla felt something stronger than excitement. He felt in control. A year later, Dorilla sat in the same cafe, same table, same coffee, but a completely different mindset. Saru walked in, smiling as usual.
Dorilla, you still playing it safe?
Dorilla looked up and nodded. Yeah. Saru laughed.
Man, you're missing out.
Dorilla took a slow sip of his coffee. Maybe. Then he added quietly.
But I'm also not losing sleep anymore.
Saru didn't have a response, because this time, Dorilla wasn't chasing income. He understood it. Here's the truth most people learn too late. Dividends aren't bad, but chasing high dividends blindly? That's where people lose everything, especially when time is no longer on your side. So let me ask you, if you were in Dorilla's position, would you choose high income that looks good today or lower income that actually lasts? Drop your answer in the comments, because the difference could decide how your retirement ends.